Thanks, Mark. Things in China have been moving quickly this morning. Deng Xiaoping made his first television appearance in weeks. Violence is said to be spreading across the country, and students and workers have been arrested in Beijing. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon joins us live from Beijing this morning. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Harry.
We have seen Deng Xiaoping now. Order, apparently, in some way, shape, or form, seems to be restored. So does an atmosphere of fear. At least that's what it looked like in your report on the evening news last night. Can you describe Beijing to us now?
The atmosphere of fear is becoming a reality. Beijing is indeed coming back to life in a sullen sort of way. I went to two universities today, and they are very sad and dispirited places. In fact, they're being deserted. At Beijing University last night, the Army came through. They went to the administration and asked for a list of the students who belong to the student union, which is, of course, now an illegal organization. The Army clearly means to round them up. This morning, the president of Beijing University summoned the department heads and instructed them to tell all the students to leave. So the university today was a place where students were deserting it. The students, in fact, when you think of it, a few weeks ago, they did oppose this government, these authorities, and these authorities are now waging war on the students, and they are in charge, and they will win. The students, I think, will be trying to fade back into China. I think we'll have a lot of students already going to the provinces and trying to disappear into the peasantry, and some will succeed and some will not.
The thing we've heard so often in the last week or two is the genie can't be put back in the bottle, but it looks with the appearance of Deng Xiaoping again that every effort is being made to see that that is in fact going to happen.
For the short term, I think it has happened already. There are reports of continuing disruption in various provincial cities. In fact, Chinese television just now in their evening news showed arrests being made in half a dozen cities. But it's clear that the authorities are making an appearance in all of these cities, which they did not do during the heyday of the student rebellion in Beijing. So all over the country, it is clear that order is being restored. What does this mean in the short term? Indeed, the genie is back in the bottle. The democracy movement is dead and buried. What will it mean in a few years from now? It will mean that there's an entire generation which will have hatred in its hearts, and we'll see eventually this hatred will come out one way or another.
Just 2 days ago, it seemed, especially around the square and areas where there were Americans, there was lots of gunfire. Do you hear gunfire anymore? Is there an immediate physical threat to people on the street, or Americans in particular?
Frankly, I think the only physical threat to Westerners now is to Western journalists. It's becoming increasingly delicate to travel around Beijing because people are informing. In fact, on television tonight, there was another invitation for people to inform on anything that looks to them illegal and disruptive, and that most notably includes Western journalists. There's an invitation to inform. There was also an invitation for students or what was termed the writers of illegal publications, which means wall posters, an invitation for them to confess so that their punishment will be lighter than if they are captured by the authorities. I think there is a certain amount of anti-Americanism being whipped up, but I don't think that the diplomatic or what remains of the business community here has anything to fear.
As incredible and heady as the days of demonstrations were just a few weeks ago, it seems the bad old days have come back in almost an instant.
You know, the Chinese television, right after the photo opportunity with Deng Xiaoping, showed a sequence of pictures taken today in Tiananmen Square. And it was a military formation, very precise, very neat, very clean. There was the raising of the Chinese flag. There were soldiers in sort of a half goose step marching through the square. And when you contrast that precision, that authoritarian precision, to the messiness, the sweet disorder of the democratic movement that was in the square last week, I think that was really the entire story in two contrasting pictures.
Bob Simon, we thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
The Chinese students who occupied Tiananmen Square created a symbol of their dream. It was a statue called the Goddess of Democracy and patterned after the Statue of Liberty. When the army came rolling into the square, the statue was crushed by a tank. But now that symbol is springing to life again. Replicas of her are being built all over the world. The first to be unveiled is in New York City, 15 feet high, made of styrofoam covered by plaster and fabric, constructed by 5 artists, all Chinese expatriates. They're working on it this morning in a Manhattan warehouse. From there, the artists and the statue will travel to New York's Chinatown for what is expected to be a huge rally.